little while. So a little bit to catch up on. Okay. I did a little bit of weapon testing, and let's see what's new. Crossbows aren't that good, but I'm gonna keep a copy anyway. I upgraded Onspac's longbow, and it's freaking powerful. I really like the bow situation I got going on. I gave myself, oh yeah, I've also been doing a lot of co-op, just procrastinating, continuing, so I'm getting those rune arcs back up, and had one boss spoiled, which is under the finger obsessed chapel, but it's fine. Okay, so let's see here. I got myself a magic resistant barricade shield. I find that useful during the putrescent night fight. I got myself a fire resistant barricade shield, which I'm trying to use on Mesmer sometimes, but I still feel like I don't have a strong metagame against Mesmer yet. I'm also considering using this on Commander Gaius, or whatever his name is. I still have not beat Commander Gaius. I'll do that on a stream or recording, obviously. And every time I run up against him, I'm like, oh shit, like every time you get summoned and you realize you're in front of a boss you haven't beat yet, it's kind of like a shit your pants moment. Like, oh fuck, what am I gonna do? Anyway, Shield of the Night. I tested the L2 after a block, and it does a bajillion damage, and it doesn't scale with intelligence, so why not? You know, it's like these night weapons, they scale with dex, and I think it's freaking awesome. About time that physical attribute scalers can do some magic damage, you know? Okay, so then I did some farming of the Fire Knights, and I found the Fire Knight short sword, which is actually a dagger, and it is so cool because it has built-in fire damage and built-in faith scaling, but you can infuse it and you can buff it. So that's awesome. And I'm always looking for a really good fire weapon, right? Like I have the Bandit Fire Curved Swords for extremely high fire DPS, and I have this Fire Great Stars with Eruption, which is great on the, you know, the slime ball monsters. Because they're slow and they just crawl all over the lava and take damage, and it heals you. Anyway, but these, like, I specifically craft those weapons, especially the Fire Bandit Curved Sword, looking for, like, hey, if I'm going against an enemy that's weak to fire, this is the tool you pull out, like Erd Tree Avatars and Erd Tree Spirits and stuff. And now that there's weapons that are buffable and infusable and have built-in fire damage, that's like a whole game changer. Anyway, I haven't tested the daggers a whole lot. I have a feeling that even though they attack fast, they might not match the DPS of the Bandit Curved Swords, because these Bandit Curved Swords do indeed do bonkers damage. But there's these Colossal Swords, which are awesome, and I can finally have an alternative to the Great Stars here. And what's even crazier about these Great Swords is that they're Colossal Swords, but they attack faster, like the what do you call it? The Godslayer Greatsword. So the R1s are super fast, and you're doing you got Colossal Greatsword Reach, and it might do a little less damage than other Colossal Greatswords, but it's it still has high poise damage, it still has high reach, and because of the whole built-in fire damage and buffable situation, is like about just as much fire damage as you can put on a weapon at once. And so that's great. So I have this flame spear one. It turns out I like flame spear. I don't like the weapon art where you do like a weak like imitation giant hunt with fire and then like the little follow-up puff of fire. It's a lot weaker than giant hunt because it doesn't stagger as hard as giant hunt. So I won't be using that. Like any situation I would want to use that, I would rather use giant hunt. Yeah, and also got eruption here. So these two colossal greatswords are fantastic. Really fast R1s, pokey R2. What's not to love, right? Then I cut down on I don't want crucible wings on a Gugs. One of these Guts Ultra Great Swords. The tracking is just bad. Anytime you're trying to hit someone, you half the time fly past them. It's really hard to line up like multi-hit. Like line multiple targets up and hit all of them with the same hit, and the windup is huge. It's very flashy, crucible wings thing, but it's just not that effective. And I do still have it on a twin blade here, but kind of running into the same issues each time I've tried that. I might try it a little bit longer, but not really liking it a whole ton. Let's see here. I got the Claws of Night still, and the Pata with the Endure. Oh yes, I found a really good meta strategy for the Fire Knights with daggers, because they are annoying as hell, right? So it turns out this, what do you call it? Mesmer Soldier Spear is the highest damage great spear on this build, and especially if you stick Cragblade on it, then it does a bajillion damage. And why would you stick Cragblade on it? Well, because we have a different weapon art in mind, which is the Barricade Shield. So you barricade your shield with good physical and fire resistance, and then the Fire Knights with daggers, they run up and they attack you, and they bounce off of the shield because it's barricaded. And so they're staggered just by attacking into your shield, and then you do the retaliation attack, the R2 follow-up after they bounce your shield. And it's basically a really effective way to take down the Fire Knights without taking much damage. And now that's only true for the dagger Fire Knights, but the Fire Knights that wield the longer swords, the great swords, I find it more effective to do parrying and crits, because they will not bounce off of the barricaded shield. Let's see here. And so that's how I farmed this gear. I also need to do some lore reading, I suppose, since this is my first video back in a while. Yeah, I got all my lightning options lined up in a row here, and I got rid of my Uchigatana with Blood Blade on it because I just never use it. I think I also got rid of one Nagakiba that I was, double slash. I think it was double slash, because although the range is commendable, if I really want range, I think like there's a whole situation going on between great swords and great katanas and katanas. It's kind of like, what do you really like about double slash? Well, it attacks fast and it's a side sweeping motion, right? Well, we'll get to it in a bit, but Rakshasa's Great Katana kind of handles quick swinging horizontal slashes, and so I don't necessarily need a double slash there, and I do still have a double slash, but it's on a quality Milady, because it's the fast variant like you would get on Nagakiba, not the slow variant you would get on a Great Sword or Great Katana, but it's higher damage than a Nagakiba. Not as big range as a Nagakiba, but still pretty decent range, and still higher damage. So I'm deciding to put double slash on a Milady. And I also have the wing stance on a Milady, obviously. Let's see here. So yeah, got rid of Uchikatana, got rid of one Nagakiba, keeping 2 Nagakibas. I got my curved swords in a row, and then we got the Great Katanas. I narrowed it down from 5 Great Katanas just to 2, or vanilla Great Katanas. I still have the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana. I added Rakshasas. I got rid of Impaling Thrust and Double Slash and one other thing. What do you call? Flaming Strike. I got rid of Flaming Strike. I'm sure it's Flaming Strike is still effective on a Great Katana. It's just there's hardly a situation I would reach for that individually. Yeah, so like Flame Strike, you get a nice little horizontal sweep and then a set follow-up sweep. You can kind of do that with Rakshasa's L2. And alright, well then what about Double Slash? Well, you have Rakshasas. Well, what about Impaling Thrust? Well, Impaling Thrust is still good, but if I was going for Impaling Thrust, I'd probably use a Great Sword or just Giant Hunt. I haven't looked up yet if the Impaling Thrust on a Great Katana does the same poise damage or better or worse than a Great Sword or a Great Spear, but that is the main reason I ever go for Impaling Thrust, is for the high poise DPS. So I don't know where Great Katanas stand with Impaling Thrust, but I'm opting out of it for now, and I'm keeping Overhead Stance because it's unique, and also it just builds up bleed really freaking fast for such a heavy weapon. And I'm keeping Stormblade because it's also just a really perfect fit for Great Katanas. The high weapon reach with the extra bullet, and in case they're still out of reach anyway, the bullet plus weapon damage adding up as on an L2 with Alexander Shard, and swinging faster than normal R1s. It's a just all around really good Ash of War on a Great Katana, and you can still buff it too. So you slap a blood grease on this, and you're bleeding things really fast with L2s. And that's one thing I'm disappointed about with the Rakshasa's Great Katana, is that it's not buffable. Great Katana with the tempering pattern of its blade forever stained with red with blood, weapon Rakshasa who cuts down and devours. A berserker's weapon used to endure enemy attacks and reply with one's full fury. When attacking the wielder is less likely to stagger from counterattacks, but will also take increased damage. Yeah, so I looked it up, and it decreases your absorption by like 10% or something, and that's on top of that, stacks with the regular counterattack debuff. But the damage is freaking high. Let's see here. Right now on my character, it is showing 910 damage compared to 865 for the vanilla Great Katana. So it's huge. And it's even bigger than the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana. Dragon Hunter Great Katana is 885, and this is 910. So the Rakshasa's Great Katana does a bajillion damage. And it's still not as high as the Bloodhound's Fang, which we're seeing at 985. But Bloodhound's Fang is a high ceiling for like broken scaling, right? So this is really quite close to Bloodhound's Fang. And it still has the 55 bleed, and it has, in my opinion, a much better L2 than Bloodhound's Fang, the weed cutter, because you can just keep on chaining it for DPS without a huge end lag on the backflip for Bloodhound Fang, and it just does a ton of damage. This has got the fundamentals. What do you want more than just a big stack of damage on your weapon, right? And Rakshasa, it's just a good dex weapon, a good quality weapon through and through. Only sad thing is you can't buff it. So the Great Katana will be able to bleed more effectively, or you can slap some lightning grease on it for a little split damage buff. But Rakshasa's, and the Rakshasa has on-demand pokes with R2. You don't have to do a little side sweep, but you can still get your side sweeps with a little run. You got the running pokes. It's just, you can get your sweeping attacks whenever you want. It's a really good all-around weapon. You can do exactly what you need to do with it in any situation, and it's got the high damage. So quickly becoming like a new favorite weapon, I think. Wish it was buffable, but anyway, still like new favorite weapon. And let's see here. Yeah, I don't know, not much else to say about that. I cut down on some great swords. I don't need double slash on a claymore. I'm still keeping Royal Knight Resolve on a claymore. I still keeping Impaling Thrust on a Knight's Greatsword. I got rid of Piercing Thing on a Knight's Greatsword. Some of this is just to cut down on clutter. Still keeping the blood tax on the Flamberg, and then I kept Piercing Thing on a Twin Knight sword. I really like the twin blades, and I think if I ever specifically wanted Piercing Thing, I'd be just as happy to equip a twin blade instead of the Knight's Greatsword. So that helped motivate that. So I still have Piercing Thing if I ever want to reach for it. I got rid of some weapons too. So for example, I had a crazy combo. Let's see here. Did some testing with some holy weapons, because it turns out a few bosses are weak to holy, like Commander Gaius. I did look that up. And Putrescent Knight. I just don't have very many good holy options, but I'll get back to that in a minute. I also got the Forked Tongue Hatchet. It's garbage. And let's see. The Blood Rotten Great Axe that I blood infused with Braggart's Roar, and you stack all the roar buffs and the two-handed buffs and the poison buff and the bleed buff. I actually did use it to kill Thiolier in this run. If you go back and you find that VOD. It is a pretty cool combo, but most of the time you don't actually activate the poison buff because it's got so few hits, and most of the time, and you have to charge your R2 if you really want to max out the damage, because not only is there a talisman for it, but that's how the weapon specific buff works. The weapon has a bonus to fully charged R2s, not normal R2s. And so it does a gazillion damage on paper if something, if you get your buffs lined up just in time and you land the fully charged R2, and I have one shot several phantoms with it before, but it's just not super convenient, and you're leaving a lot of just raw physical damage, like unbuffed physical damage on the table, like by blood infusing. So I did some testing with a good old Gug's Greatsword, Braggart's Roar, and I did the whole setup here, except now now you only have one buff for fully charging. So fully charging R2 is kind of optional, right? And additionally, when you Braggart's Roar, you can't. It counts as a weapon buff, so you can't add a grease on top of it. So if you can't add a grease on top of your Braggart's Roar anyway, then you might as well elementally infuse it. And with such high damage, you're not really getting penalized for split damage because the damage is so high, and that's how the defenses work. So I tried out this Lightning Greatsword with Braggart's Roar, and you can soft R2 decently quick, or you can do the fully charged R2, and it actually does bajillion gazillion damage without having to charge up a bleed, and you have more options about you don't have to fully charge every single time, and you can keep some defenses. You can just say, hey, screw this. Yeah, I actually have my physical damage, the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman on while using this setup, instead of wasting some talisman slots on Kindred or Rot or Lord of Blood, right? And even with the trade-offs, the physical and lightning damage is so high that it's I just did some testing around Castle Ensis with the Black Knight. This is just overall way more effective than the Rotten Blood Duelist Great Axe. So I got rid of the Rotten Blood Duelist Great Axe, and I did keep the Cold Duelist Great Axe just in case. I might get rid of it at some point, because I do prefer Zamor's Curved Sword most of the time. Zamor's Curved Sword Ice Storm will freeze enemies a lot faster and easier than the Cold Duelist Great Axe a lot of the time, but just holding on to it a little bit longer, not the best damage, but who knows if maybe I'll find a situation where I prefer using the Cold Duelist Great Axe. Kind of like after a while I thought I wouldn't need the Elemental Great Stars, but then I found the Furnace Golems and the Lightning Great Stars is perfect for that, and I found the Slimes on the ground and the Eruption Great Stars is perfect for that. So who knows if Cold Duelist Great Axe will come back around or not. Let's see here. I might not keep the Raptor Talons. I might get rid of that someday, but I just have to decide what else I want there, because I need a convenient to reach endure weapon at the very top, and something that can endure and bleed, and maybe a Beast Claw could do it, or maybe the Quality Pada, but it doesn't have bleed built in, so maybe I'll keep the Raptor Talons, or maybe something will bump it out. The damage isn't great compared to the DLC weapons, but it still have its unique characteristics like R2 and the claw build-up, the bleed build-up. So I don't know about that yet, but we'll see. And got some useless niche outsiders like the Irumi and the Quality Starfist, just hanging out, taking up space, making things line up evenly. It's whatever. Alright, I think that covers all the weapons. I found, so for a while I had the strategy of using the Death Knight's Long-Haft Axe against the Putrescent Knight. I've been getting summoned to the Putrescent Knight every once in a while, and it's not perfect because it doesn't scale really good with this build. The weapon art is perfect, but the scaling just isn't a perfect fit. So considering it's weak to holy damage, I've been finding a lot of luck with the black knife. Finally, an excuse to use the black knife. Because it's a ranged attack, you got your poise, so you might trade, but you're guaranteed to get your attack off. And I might not have good scaling for holy damage, but it's also percent based to damage, so it actually does do really good against the Putrescent Knight. And I also use it on Millennia. I think I uploaded a video of that shortly ago. Yeah, because literally this build, holy damage is one of the only things this build can't really do. And a lot of the DLC bosses are weak to holy. So Black Knife kind of saving the day with percent based holy damage, and it's very cool. Of course you need a talisman or great rune for that. Let's see here. Alright, I think that covers all the weapons. Did some talisman reorganizing too. I think I brought the Crimson Seed talisman up top. I rearranged some of this stuff in this core hotspot. Makes it easier to switch things as I need them. Let's see. Weapon, armor. Let's quickly scan around here. Oh yeah, the cracked tears, the crystal tears. I'm a huge fan of Power Within from Dark Souls, so I'm instantly in love with the blood-sucking cracked tear, where it slowly drains your HP and increases your attack power by a bajillion. And so I think the Blood Boil aromatic, where it increases your the damage you take, is a really punishing punishment. It depends on the position you're in, right? If you're attacking from range, then a debuff to your defense, like who cares? Because your health isn't going down if you stay at a safe range. But if you're going into to melee, then you're probably gonna accidentally get hit a couple of times, and so the Blood Boil aromatic debuff is horrible because burst damage is king in this game, especially in PvP. So the Blood Boil aromatic is like suicide if you go into melee, but the blood-sucking cracked tier, you can absolutely survive with gradual HP drain in melee, and you can also survive with it at range too, because you just pop a healing flask whenever it's convenient for you, and you add this other Crimson Bubble tier on top of it, which is good on its own anyway. It serves as like a little emergency backup for the blood-sucking cracked tier. It's a match made in heaven, and like you've seen it, I would switch crystal tiers left and right. But I think I'm in love with this duo, and I'm going to keep it. And I don't always activate it with every boss, which is like an opportunity cost. But I think having a really strong choice where you're like, hey, I know this thing is gonna like drastically improve my performance, and I can choose to use it or not, is preferable to having a wimpy little, this is a general debuff, like a general buff, and I'll just like with a stamina bonus or a teeny tiny HP bonus, like I'll use it just in case it helps. Like, I love this guaranteed you're gonna do a lot more damage, and you know, the backup durability is great. So I don't always use it, but I definitely know when I want to use it, and I want to use it on some bosses, and I don't want to use it on some other bosses. And sometimes the damage buffing just gets so extreme. I'll actually throw a Blood Boil aromatic in the mix too. So I'm always keeping at least one Iron Jar and at least one Blood Boil on me at all times. So like if I say, fuck it, let's go full bore, I'll put on a Blood Boil aromatic at the same time as the flask, and it's awesome. All right, let's see here. Weapons, shields. Okay, I gotta try to remember what's new. So I do have a new fashion setup, which you may have noticed. Here we got some Fire Knight helm. Pointed helm of the Fire Knights under Mesmer the Impaler's personal command. Slightly increases maximum HP, stamina, and maximum equip load. I am so angry that you can't swap out gear enchantments onto other gear. It's infuriating. I want that so bad. But it's just a horrible fashion choice, at least for my purposes. I'm sure you could build something that doesn't look bad with it, but it's just not what I'm going for here. Very interesting and unique enchantment on magic on a gear helmet. Alright, Rakshasa's helm. Helm of Rakshasa, soaked in the spurting blood of her victims, tatters of ragged cloth jut out haphazardly as if her lust for carnage threatens to break free, increases the damage dealt to foes, but greatly increases the damage taken by the wearer. Cut down and devour, only those who repeat the cycle without rest can truly subvert the self and become Rakshasa. So I think the lore here is telling us that Rakshasa is a transcendent identity that only the latest incarnation became, and that has to do with the lore of losing your name or losing your heart to end up in one of those tombs. But this magic effect on this gear is just as frickin' awesome. So, like, how often do you see a piece of gear that just says, hey, we're going to increase your raw frickin' damage, no conditions, no classifiers, we're just going to increase your damage with your great bows, with your elements, with your L2s, with your R1s, with your hell, maybe even your throwing knives and stuff. Like, you never see that. So I instantly wanted a piece of this, and yeah, that's what I did. I don't like the look of the full set. It doesn't speak to me, but it does have a few things going for it. It's got the narrow waist and the wider hips and a little bit of like a dress thing going around the back. So it's definitely got like the feminine shape to it, which is really appealing. And but then like, so it has that in common, like the sort of feminine shape in common with what do you call the Champion's Pauldron, and I always loved that. But now I have finally something that looks good with the Pelt of Ralva, and I don't remember if it was on stream or off stream, but I felt like forever looking for a good combo to go with the Pelt of Ralva as there's something new from the Black Wolf mask, and I finally found it. So now I have a mostly Rakshasa set, but I still have that sort of barbaric headdress, animal pelt headdress, and so the lore and the evolution and the story of this character. sort of going from a raggedy barbarian to a refined warrior. It all comes around, and the armor set just looks so freaking cool under the pelt, and the pelt looks cool from behind when running around, and the silhouette just looks awesome. So I'm very happy with it. And so you might ask, well, what about the penalty? What about, it says it increases your damage dealt to foes, but greatly increases damage taken by the wearer. I did some testing, and you can see there's a little buff debuff icon near my stamina bar, which is the face, which is that one talisman. Let's see here. Well, first of all, let's take this for example. Let's take this. All right. Datacar's Woe. So look at the stats here. If you equip Datacar's Woe, then it decreases your absorption. But we're looking at armor pieces that have absorption built into them already, right? So it shows you as having a debuff at the top. But how big is the debuff? Well, I did some testing, and I basically equipped a set of armor with and that includes the Rakshasa set, and I looked at the actual absorptions, and I took some damage, and I looked at how much damage was dealt to me, and then I switched to a different set of armor that was not the Rakshasa set, but still had the same absorptions, and then I went and I took the damage from the same attack, and I looked at the damage quantity, and it was the same quantity. So what the real debuff is, even though there's this little icon in here, it's like the debuff is pre-calculated into the amount of armor provided. So if you look at some of these other armor sets in the same weight class, they typically have better defense than the Rakshasa set. Almost all of them have better defense, especially in the physical. So what's really happening here is that the Rakshasa armor gives you exactly as much physical defense as the values list, and it's not increasing the damage you take, it's only increasing the damage you would take with respect to opportunity cost of other armors. And that said, basically, it's a roundabout way of saying you can trade, like if previously you wore a set of armor that had higher defenses, then you can trade your defense for offense, right? But if previously you wore a set of armor with equal or less defenses, then instead it's saying, hey, we might not increase your defense, but you can trade equip load to do more damage, right? It's kind of like a pseudo talisman. It's as if the Great Jar's Arsenal, instead of increasing your weight load, it increased your damage. Because if you had to equip the Great Jar's Arsenal in order to equip the heavier armor, but have the same defense, but higher offense, that's how it all washes out, right? So, what I did is I rebuilt the character, and so that I could carry my heaviest stuff with the new outfit. And let's look at the defenses here. So we got 21 physical and 29 fire. versus uh, 19.7 physical and 27 fire, right? So I do take a little bit defensive debuff, but it's teeny tiny, and I was already flirting with lighter outfits anyway when I was entering the finger ruins. It's all on recording. So yeah, I take it just teeny tiny defense penalty, and I get a pretty sizable, like, it's not huge, but like on a single damage type build that's just pure physical, every little bit, like, it adds up once you get to these high numbers, and it pushes the Gugs, for example, over 1,000 AR. I could have swore maybe it was the lightning Gugs. Yeah, the lightning Gugs over 1,000 AR without using Braggart's Roar yet, and what does it do to Bloodhound Fang? Almost 1,985. So it's a like, every little bit adds up. Like, how many times have you seen the Phantom survive with 1 HP? Every little bit helps. And so I did need to restat in order to handle the extra equip load. So what I did is I took I do have Godric's Great Rune on right now, but I took Arcane from 10 down to 7. So that gave me 3 points to spare, because I don't use the Blood Flame Blade incantation anymore. I only use Blood Grease, because Blood Flame incantation disrupts Frostbite debuff, and I want to keep the Frostbite debuff. The Frostbite debuff is good on enemies because it increases the damage you take, and on a mostly physical damage build, I want to be doing the extra 20% physical damage. I don't want to try to trigger bleed again. That's dumb. Or frost again. So the Blood Grease is compatible with Frostbite, and the Blood Flame Blade is not compatible with Frostbite. And that's the only incantation that ever required 10 Arcane. The Dragon Communion Seal also requires 10 Arcane, but you can use it even if you don't meet the requirements. And I could use the Frenzy Flame Talisman, but I just like how the Dragon Communion Seal looks a lot more because it's red and it fits the outfit. And so I don't use any spells that scale with your incantation spellcasting ability, because Black Flame Blade is % damage, and Order's Blade, like, I was never doing high holy damage with that. It, like, the real buff from Order's Blade is that it like doubles your weapon damage or something like that. Like, it scales with your weapon damage if you're attacking undead. I never use it for raw holy damage. I always use it just for undead, and it still works even if your seal requirements aren't met. Night Maiden's Mist, that's a spell. And Aurora Brugalia, that's just for memes. I don't really actually use that. And so yeah, so the only thing that needs 10 Arcane is Dragon Communion Seal, and it doesn't really matter. So I dropped from 10 Arcane down to 7, and I also decreased my Mind from 19 to 14, which does which did cut off a few like, it's, you know, it's easy to say I want more focus and I want to be able to L2 as much as I want, but at the end of the day, it's having more mind isn't gonna magically buff my AR by like 5% the way the Rakshasa set is going to, you know? And because I've been duping gear, because I used to farm honestly, and it's just bad. It's just bad. There's no excuse from the game developers to make farming that horrible. So I dupe now, and I have my duped Starlight Shards, and you just pop a Starlight Shard, and then who needs more mind after you got Starlight Shards running, right? Like, and they got the new Talisman too, that stacks. Like, we don't need to hoard FP anymore. So I am cut out of some ashes, some spirit ashes. I had to drop Telu, the Golem Forge Master dude, and I had to drop the Black Knife Assassin. But if I come in here and I activate the Cerulean Amber Medallion and I have Godric's Great Rune, or I buff with this sword, then I can still cast the Divine Bird Warrior Ornus. So what more could you ask for? Like, who needs more? Who needs more FP? So I was able to save 3 points, 3 levels from Arcane, 3 levels from Mind, and put an additional 6 points into Endurance, and that gives me enough for heaviest weight load, still medium roll. Not for all possible combinations of Talisman, but for this particular combination, I can still medium roll as a Phantom without Godric's Great Rune. I think if I switch to this, then I start fat rolling again as a Phantom, which is super annoying, so I might have to bump that up one more, but it's manageable, you know? Like, I could also just switch to a lighter weapon, so it's fine. Alright. That was a lot of catch up. Let's go back to reading lore. Fire Knight armor, distinguished by its red cape and twin golden snakes which adorn the neck, enhancing incantation of Mesmer's Flame. These were the only ones who truly knew Mesmer, his flames like serpents, the painful fate that accompanied his cursed form. Don't have anything to add to that, I don't think. Rakshasa, the lust for carnage, threatens to break free, increases damage dealt to foes, cut down and devour only those who repeat the cycle. Yeah, okay, same lore, and there's rarely ever unique lore added to the gauntlets or the boots, so yeah, I'll just move on, I think. Yes. Alright, any new action with... I gotta put that thing away. Yeah. Alright. So now that we've done our lore catch-up, we've done our character roleplay catch-up, new outfit, finally something cool, something that helps the build a lot. Yeah, it all comes together. And I can finally resume playing the level. So let's see what's down here. Alright. I remember seeing from above there's some hippos somewhere. I wonder if this torch works on the hippos. The beast repellent torch. That would be interesting. Seek center. Now might be a fun time to show off the extra thing, the new braggart store setup, especially considering the water surface. Alright. Might have some weight to spare because of is this one such a big deal that we really need help? Oh, it looks like there's another one farther down. Maybe it's because technically you can't access this area until after you're in Mesmer Castle. Maybe these have the golden incantations too. I might try a little bit of Mimic Tear. Mimic Tear sounds fun. Yeah. Alright, let's go for this, and this, and this, and this. Oh, come on. Alright, good thing I didn't blood boil. That was a lot of damage, see? I think I saw a 200, sorry, a 2,000 somewhere in there, a 4,000 somewhere in there. That's nothing to sneeze at, especially with 0 scatter tree fragments used. Oh, come on. Yeah, I really dove into that one. $3,400. Not bad. Alright. Okie doke. Good fight. So what's down here, huh? Ah, yes, I remember seeing this from far above. This little rock wall that holds back the ocean. Tell me your secrets. Ah, it's like a dream. Smithing stone 1? What? What? That's funny. That makes no sense, but it's hilarious. Attacking required ahead? This one? Why is it always waterside and then no hidden path ahead? Yeah. Oh, is that a cave? It's a cave. Scorpion liver, okay. Daytime encroaching. Alright, so I have this dam-like structure. It goes into a mysterious blue depths. We also have another layer down there. Who do you think you are? Alright, yeah, so definitely we'll get down there shortly. Are those tombstones? More spirit graves? Right, there's the ladder. Gotta check out the other side of this river though. Look carefully ahead. Yes, 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 yes. I hear ya. Try down, so to speak, madness. Seek down. Down ahead. Down ahead. Okay. I get the idea. First. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh. What is that? There's a message there. How the hell? How the hell does someone get over there? Is there like a spirit spring, or the landscape is really hard to read in this lighting? Maybe there's an illusory wall or something, and it comes out up here and it lets you drop it back down, because they don't always make it possible to walk back to where you've been, but they do make it possible quite often. Yeah, that really looks like somewhere you'd be able to go. Okay, alright. Looks like it's time to go down, as they say. Sheesh. That was close. Not sure I can make it to that lower one, so might have to actually use our brains a little bit here and jump to that middle one. Alright. Not noticing any immediate threat. I guess that's the third tomb. The one that will grant the stamina boosting thing. And I was asking my friend for a hint about how to find the last... Oh, what is that noise? A hint about how to find the last map fragment. He did mention another tomb, so... pro tip, try Great Axe. That's what I think. Much better. Alright. I guess that's the entrance, so I'll swing wide to explore the grounds. Liar ahead. Treasure chest ahead. Don't you dare, oh don't you dare, I did it. I love that. That's great. It is weird how, like, the previous catacombs had roads that led places. This, oh, I guess it, maybe it previously hooked up to that. How does one get up there? We were just looking at that area. I think I see something out there. What is that? Just an artifact? Or actually something? Oh, is it the surface of the water? Between rocks, okay. Be wary of madness. Okay, a lot of people are talking about going mad if you drop down there. That's strange. Underground tomb ahead, suffering ahead. Try introspection. Try jumping. Okay, a lot of people are really insisting. Like, it seems to be a big idea to go down there. Like, there's the one guy who said, don't try it, I did it. But what you're not seeing is bloodstains. It seems like people jump down and don't leave a bloodstain. Beautiful. Alright, now we're seeing bloodstains. Isn't that interesting? Try turn back. Visions of dead end. Message required ahead. Alright, I'll have to try jumping down at some point. I mean, there in the finger ruins, there was like a whole bunch of messages. It got so weird. I was freaking out, man. It's all in the VODs. I was so confused. Oh, actually, that might have been a... I can't remember if that was a deleted VOD or a saved VOD. I think we're getting a good feeling for the area. Just gotta grab the bonfire. Whoa, I've never seen that weapon art before. Map ahead. What? Oh, I mean, I guess that's what I'm here for. Dark Light Catacombs. Nothing? Okay. Alright. We'll pick up here next time. Mostly just to catch up and get back into the swing of things stream, since I did a lot of item, like equipment filtering and fashion changing and rune arc farming for a little while. So next time we'll pick up and do some catacombs.